Australian businessman Andrew Forrest has rejected suggestions he blindsided the health minister by bringing a Chinese diplomat to their joint press conference yesterday. The Chinese consul-general in Melbourne appeared alongside Mr Forrest and Mr Greg Hunt, and announcing the purchase of millions of testing kits from China. Political reporter Matthew Droin joins us now from Parliament House in Canberra. Matt, g'day. So how did this play out?
It was quite an interesting spectacle yesterday, Joe. We saw Twiggy Forrest standing alongside Greg Hunt, saying that he had bankrolled this operation to bring 10 million new coronavirus kits and the associated pathology equipment from China into the country. His foundation, the Minderoo Foundation, which is his philanthropic enterprise, funding that, and then the federal government would pay that money back over a period of time. But the two of them weren't alone. They were joined by China's consul-general in Melbourne, who also addressed the media, giving a statement at the start of that press conference. It was when the trio tried to wrap things up and tried to leave. Journalists wanted to ask the Chinese consul-general a few questions. Minister Greg Hunt said that that wasn't going to happen in that room, that it could happen outside, and then he and the other two gentlemen walked out. There has been some suggestion, including from some of Mr Hunt's own Liberal colleagues, that he was blindsided by this matter. Certainly that's the point being put across by former diplomat Dave Sharma, who is now the Liberal MP for the Sydney seat of Wentworth. We asked Mr Hunt whether he was indeed surprised by the appearance of the Consul-General. His office said that they were not. However, they didn't add to that. Twiggy Forrest has done the rounds of morning media this morning, and he has tried to downplay it. He says that this is a media beat-up, that he would have invited a representative from whichever country he had been able to source these tests from, whether it be China, whether it be Japan, or any other foreign nation where that supply would have come in from. And instead, he's decided to turn his attention to the journalists, saying that it was the journalists at the press conference who forced Greg Hunt to look a little bit grumpy.
Yeah, the minister did walk out looking a bit grumpy, and the media's just jumped all over that. It's been amazing to watch. He looked a bit grumpy because a journo almost tried to trip him up to stop him leaving and ask him a whole heap of questions, and he refused. And he said, no, you can take that up with China or Andrew or me outside of this. And he walked out. Yeah, he walked out like he meant to walk out, but that had nothing to do with the press conference.
Twiggy Forrest on the 7 Network this morning. Obviously, this plays into the broader debate that we're currently seeing about China and Australian relations. Kicked off earlier this week when the Chinese ambassador took issue with Australia, calling for a thorough and independent investigation into how the coronavirus pandemic began and how it's been managed since then. This is something that there does appear to be broad bipartisan support for here in Australia, even if there is that pushback from China. The Labor frontbencher Tanya Plibersek was on News Breakfast this morning, and she echoed the comments from those across the other side of the political aisle that an investigation should be forthcoming.
I don't think anybody should be surprised that after a massive health and economic catastrophe, as we've seen in recent months with the spread of COVID-19, that the world would want to look at how this happened and how we could better deal with such a catastrophe in the future.
Tanya Plibersek there.